What started off as an evening of hope and celebration ended in shambles on Monday Night Football, with the Chicago Bears fan base basically looking to jump off the proverbial bridge. Up 17-6 after 3 quarters at home, and the Bears find a way to lose Ben Johnson's opener as a head coach in the NFL.
Sure.
Oh, I was disappointed. I felt bad for Ben. I mean, like I said, I thought we were going to not necessarily cruise to victory, but I thought we had it in a good spot.
It's a first game, new coach, new everything. It takes time to get it going.
Absolutely, it does. We're going to talk a little bit about what happened, who's responsible, and how can the Bears turn it around this weekend, because, it's time to go to Detroit. And we have to go play in Ben Johnson's old headquarters.
True.
In the Motor City. So before we get into all that, though, if this is your first time here, please do us a solid and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that alarm bell. We really appreciate it. And so does our mascot, Frexy. Yes, ring the bell for Frexy. And with that, Nika, we are off. What happened on Monday Night Football? Well, let me tell you. The Bears honored the 40th anniversary of the 85 Bears at halftime. That was cool.
Okay.
I was born in 1981, so I unfortunately missed the 85 season in my recollection of memories. I watched the VHS tape my grandma had in her VHS drawer of tapes. And it was clearly labeled. It was one of my favorites. It also had the Super Bowl Shuffle on it. Good old grandma. She kept things organized on the VHS side of things with the recorder. So, yeah, I got to at least learn the family history when it comes to the Bears and the Super Bowl history, the greatest team ever. And this team was getting honored on Monday Night Football. Lots of famous faces in the building that are still with us, of course. Caleb Williams then starts the game and leads the Bears down the field for an opening drive touchdown to start the 2025 season. I mean, can it get any better than this, Nika?
Probably not at that moment.
He was 10 for 10 with his first 10 passes of the evening, like perfect. And he ran in a bootleg for 11 yards to score a running touchdown on the opening drive. And that was about when things started to slowly, I would say, go in a different direction. There was a lot of missed opportunities and wasted drives where Caleb Williams just went 0 for 3, didn't make a completion, and it was just you ran 3 plays and you're done. Like, that's not supposed to happen in the Ben Johnson offense. It was a little bit like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, I guess, or what's going on. One drive he looks so polished and amazing, and then other times he looks like lost and out of sync and out of time. We're going to talk about it. But I'm just being honest about what we saw. Nevertheless, this was not all Caleb Williams' fault that the Bears wound up losing this game. There was so many penalties that I think threw the offense off rhythm early in the game and took Caleb Williams out of his rhythm. Then they had the missed field goal from 50 yards, which if you listened to Al Michaels at all last night on Thursday Night Football with the Commanders at the Packers game, he said a 50-yard field goal is a chip shot in the NFL these days.
Wow.
No shit. So I didn't know that. That used to be kind of lengthy when I was a kid. Now it's just chip shot. If the Bears kicker missed a 50-yard field goal during this game, what does that tell you? It tells you he missed the chip shot, according to the 80-year-old broadcaster on Amazon.
So they need a new kicker.
Possibly. We're going to talk about that. Also, the defense just kind of broke and fell apart in the fourth quarter. Like, how can you allow 3 touchdowns? I know the offense had some mistakes and some problems, but you can't bend, let alone break like that at home.
Penalties?
Not even, but some pass interference penalties. One of them was really bad. I mean, the Vikings receiver literally slipped, and then the Bears receiver ran into him, and they call a penalty on the Bears receiver. It's like they're running fast, and the guy clearly fell down. You got to be able to see those things. I'm sorry. There's no excuse.
Okay. So the refs messed up.
Yeah, but I mean, that's not who I want to blame. We'll talk about the blame game in a second. I want to get back to Caleb Williams because I feel like he also has been criticized a little bit in his performance for not throwing the ball downfield and not seeing him, make the bigger passes downfield. Like kind of similar. We saw Jordan Love not afraid to throw the ball downfield last night. And I feel like Caleb Williams from day one last year with the old regime, I feel like they had this mindset with him, like, don't turn over the football. Like, whatever you do, protect the football at all costs. And I feel like that has screwed up Caleb Williams a little bit. And Ben Johnson is now having to sort of undo some of that work. And I'm not saying Ben Johnson wants Caleb Williams to go out there and start turning the ball over left and right. No. But I don't think Ben Johnson wants Caleb Williams to be gun shy at all. And I would like to see him start to try and stretch the field a little bit more, and make those bigger impact plays, but you can't be gun shy about it.
So
you
but
can't
don't
be
be afraid.
Yeah. And I feel like he's playing more afraid of turning the ball over. He's capable of making these throws and he's also going to make interceptions. It's going to happen.
It's part of the game.
Especially if you start to try and make these throws.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. But Brett Favre threw a lot of interceptions. Aaron Rodgers threw a lot of interceptions. They're both champions. They both won Super Bowls. They both looked awesome a lot of the time playing against other teams.
You can't be playing scared. You can't be played afraid that you might throw interception. You need to be confident enough, whether you do it or not, throwing interception, you just go for it.
So while I would agree with a lot of the analysis that Caleb Williams does need to be better, I want to point this out that I think he's playing too scared and too gun shy right now. And he needs to he has the right coach, luckily, in Ben Johnson to hopefully change his thinking and his instincts on the field, because it is instinct. It happens so fast.
Sure. I mean, this weekend on Sunday, it will be a good reflection whether things have changed.
It will. And we'll talk about that at the end. But before we get off Caleb Williams and talk about who we're blaming for this, I want to remind everyone that we are essentially starting over with a young quarterback in the NFL, because he's learning a brand new system now from somebody that's probably a lot more adept at teaching it. But at the same time, it's like what Yoda said, you have to unlearn what you learned last year a little bit. So Ben Johnson, I don't think wants Caleb Williams always protecting the football like Matt Eberflus maybe would have told him last year, because Eberflus is a defensive guy, and he believed in the defense. And so he just wanted you to protect the ball, and we'll take our field goals in our low scoring games. It's not the way you win in the 2025 NFL. So aside from Caleb, who are we blaming on this? Because it's really easy to blame Caleb Williams, but it's a team game, and there were tons of team mistakes made. And this game in particular, while I was watching it, felt like a total team collapse. In
the fourth quarter.
In the fourth quarter. But I want to point out something else that happened in this game, because a lot of people tend to forget about it. Before halftime, the Vikings get the ball with 20 seconds left, and what do? They get a field goal out of it. This reminded me so much of the Washington game last year. They got the ball with a similar amount of time left before they hit that Hail Mary. Now, the Vikings didn't hit a Hail Mary on us, so people tend to forget about it because it's not so memorable. But they still got a field goal here when they shouldn't have. There's no way. And you give them, instead of 17-3, 17-6. And as we can see, that changed the dynamic of this game. Even if they would have answered with those 2 touchdowns, they wouldn't have taken the lead on us. They would have tied us, and it might have been a different momentum switch. Nevertheless, that cannot happen anymore. They really need to tighten up these before the half and before the end of the game defenses. I hate seeing that carry over from last year. And, by the way, the defense, all they needed to do was make one stop in the fourth quarter. One stop, Nika. And the Bears would have probably etched out this game.
Didn't happen.
3 drives in a row in the fourth quarter. You look gassed out there, and they didn't even play a lot in the first 3 quarters. The Bears dominated time of possession in this game. And for a team that was practicing hard, I'm surprised. I don't know if they didn't spend enough time on conditioning and just hitting, but you would think that if they were hitting, they would be conditioning as well.
Yeah. Well, I think this weekend it will show whether they took their mistakes and fixed them up.
Oh, yeah. We are going to talk about that, I promise, in a hot second. One last thing. about the blame game here, and I want to point out I'm not sold on Cairo Santos, the Bears kicker. He makes me nervous. When Al Michaels is saying a 50-yarder is a chip shot, and he missed a 50-yarder in a crucial situation of our game. I mean, you just don't want this happening in the playoffs. And so I'm glad I saw the Bears brought in competition this week from the 49ers, let one of their kickers go. And I just think it's good for the locker room to have competition.
Absolutely.
You know, another small note about the kicking game in this game was that the Bears kicked off with 2 minutes and like 5 seconds left in this game. And Ben Johnson told Cairo Santos to kick the ball out of the back of the end zone, which would have basically yielded no time off the clock. And I don't think he has the leg to do it. I don't think I've ever seen him kick a ball out of the back of the end zone, period. And so if he can't do that, and that's something that we need as a kicker in this day and age to do, then maybe he's not the right guy, period.
Well, that's why they brought this guy from the 49ers.
Potentially. I mean, we'll see what happens.
Test it out.
I think it's good, like I said, to have competition in the locker room, and I don't think you want to quickly replace a guy who made the team coming out of training camp.
Sure.
But I also think that when he misses a field goal in week 1 that Al Michaels is calling a chip shot, then I think you should have competition, and you should have somebody like looking in your rearview mirror.
Absolutely. Don't they have a backup kicker?
Not really.
Not really, huh?
Yeah. There's not a lot of great kickers, Nika.
Maybe now you need to have it. I mean, can they just go and get a soccer player to start kicking?
Sure. Let's just call him up. All right. Well, as we mentioned, the Bears now head to Detroit this weekend, and it is a Sunday regular time game. And I wrote down in my notes that this is going to be a game that tells us a lot about how this season is going to go for the Bears.
Okay.
And I know that's a tough comment because it's a tough road game. But the week 1 to week 2 adjustments by teams in general, by large in the NFL, are the chance for the biggest leaps in the entire season. This is the one time that they're going to get game film of a whole game. And I think you're going to see the biggest leaps right now. Like, you don't see teams in week 15 to 16 making monumental leaps. I'm not saying they won't be making steady leaps, but
from
if the Bears are going to compete this year, we're going to have to see some growth from some of these mistakes. And it's kind of hard because they had a Monday night game, so they don't have as much time to prepare.
Okay, they are just one day off, basically.
They're one day off.
So
it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But I just want to point that out. They don't have as much time as they might usually have. I say
Fair
might
enough.
because the Packers had to play last night.
Exactly.
They had like 3 days to prepare. So it's a tough league out there, everybody. And every once in a while, you're going to have to play that Thursday game. And speaking of Thursday games, the Bears almost beat the Lions in Detroit last year, if you'll remember. In fact, there was some chaos at the end of the game that was probably one of the reasons Eberflus got fired the very next day. But the Bears actually had the ball with a chance to win with that game on the line. And
that was on the coach.
That was on coaching last year. And so anyways, I want to remind people that they were within striking distance on the final drive of the game.
Also, the Lions this season, they have been picked apart. They don't have the same coaching. They don't have the same players.
Correct. They also lost their defensive coordinator.
Exactly.
So they don't have the same coaches around, and that matters in this league.
Absolutely.
That absolutely does. And so how can the Bears improve in a hostile road environment from being at home and blowing it against the Vikings? Well, they just need to play 4 complete quarters. All you need to do is just keep playing. You know, like for whatever reason, I feel like
less penalties.
Yes, that's another thing I wrote down.
Less false starts.
I mean, and they're going to have a silent snap, according to Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams this weekend, because of the loud noise in the artificial dome stadium. So they're not going to have a like hike kind of. They're just going to have it on movement.
Okay,
well, and
maybe
so
that helps.
Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. We'll see how that experiment goes.
Yeah,
but
it is an experiment.
It's good to learn it now because you might have to play in a hostile environment like that on the road in a playoff game. Anyways, the Bears are capable of playing 4 complete quarters, by the way, especially under this coaching staff. So I'm sure they were stressing that as well. Like, guys, we were 1 quarter away from victory last week. So let's finish the game this week and see where we end up.
We got to stay positive.
It's an easy message.
Absolutely.
You know?
But you have to stay positive. You can't just base your whole season on one game. First week.
Of course not. Nor should you on the first 2 games. Although there is like overwhelming evidence that if you start 0-2, it's really hard to make the playoffs. Not to put any extra pressure on it. Now, the Lions are going to be fired up to face Ben Johnson.
Yes.
You cannot ignore this, and you shouldn't if you're the coaching staff either. You have to weather this storm early. Like, they're probably going to score.
Of course.
When they get the ball early. They're going to be
on your heels.
And the crowd is going to be going nuts. They're going to announce Ben Johnson's name, and he's going to get booed as the head coach of the Bears. There's just going to be extra elements and drama to this game. And not saying that's a bad thing, but they're going to be there. They're going to exist. So the Bears have to weather that storm early if they want to stay in this game. That's just a fact.
It should be a must win for the Bears because it's a second week.
Yeah.
And it will be a lot harder for them to come back in the third week.
And by contrast, I think Ben Johnson will want this game, and I think the new Bears players will want to give it to him.
Yeah.
Maybe more than the opening game in Monday Night Football.
All right. It's more personal.
The other good news heading into this game for the Bears is that the defense is getting healthier. And TJ Edwards and Jalen Johnson, who did not play Monday night, will both be suiting up for sure. So that's great news ahead of the weekend, and I'm excited. It's good to have them back at least for this game. I feel better about our chances with them than I do without them. That's my notes for this week. You know, I try to keep it brief here, but we did do some discussion, Nika and I, about football and how we're going to cover this. So we are going to come back and do a brand new segment breaking down the Bears game against the Lions on Monday. So stay tuned for that. We will be here doing it. And then we will also do on Fridays a matchup preview, unless of course the Bears play on a Friday, then we might bump it up to Thursday or Wednesday. If they play on a Thursday, we'll definitely have to bump it up to Wednesday, but probably not Tuesday. That's going to be a little too hot for us to handle, especially while we got MLB playoffs going on. We got Monday Night Raw all the time that we follow, so Monday nights are tough. That's why we got a little dinged up this week. We got bombarded with everything, that all 3 segments: baseball, wrestling, NFL.
September sports.
The life of a YouTuber, everybody. But appreciate the support, appreciate the subscriber count climbing upwards, and it's motivation to keep doing it for y'all, and we'll be back.